pair of keys that just happened to fit a brand new Jaguar sitting in front of the house. But that was just a token. I mean, they make you wealthy. So the Saudis have been buying American influence for a long time, and that doesn't include the other 56 Islamic nations. Well, when you do that long enough, eventually you are able to warp the lens of public perception. The headlines are the lenses of public perception. And as a consequence, it has been fashionable not just in America, but all over Europe, all over the Western world, to ignore the fact that the Palestinians are deliberately getting as many civilians killed as they can, because every civilian death is a headline victory. It's a press victory. It is a propaganda victory. And nobody bothers to say, this is outrageous what the Palestinians are doing, putting all of their weapons under schools, hospitals, under apartment buildings. It is outrageous. It is a war crime. And instead, at the United Nations today, they are calling for an investigation of war crimes perpetrated by Israel. That's outrageous. It's Hamas that is perpetrating the war crimes.
It seems that there's a lot more to this than that, Israel and the Gaza and Palestine are not the only players in this. It seems that other countries are using this crisis for their own political advantages.
Exactly. Turkey, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt are all using this to gain advantage. And specifically, Saudi has been on the losing side for the last year. In 1948, when 5 Arab countries were determined to wipe Israel off the face of the map the very day that Israel's existence was declared, the Saudis had a relationship with a construction company called Bechtel. And Bechtel did so many billions of dollars worth of business with the Saudis that they were willing to act as the Saudis' representatives in the United States. Bechtel had access to secret government files, and they had access to secret government reconnaissance photos taken of Israel and its surrounding territories that very day, the latest reconnaissance photos. Bechtel went to those files, took those photographs, and gave them to the Saudis.
Unreal.
Later on, under the Bush administration, Prince Bandar would be considered an unofficial member of the White House. He practically lived in the White House for 25 years.
But wasn't there a connection between him and the Muslim Brotherhood that was discovered later on?
I don't know, because when one of the major spokespeople for the Muslim Brotherhood had to flee Egypt, which is where the Muslim Brotherhood was born and raised, he went to Saudi Arabia. And then he developed a television show that I think is the most popular show on Al Jazeera's Arab edition. So it's very hard. The Muslim Brotherhood is a tricky proposition. You know that when Hamas founded itself as a branch of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Yet Hamas is an Iranian client. Now, in other words, those missiles that they are firing come from Iran and Syria. They are not bottle rockets. They are very sophisticated missiles, and they come from Iran and Syria. Well, Syria happens also to be an Iranian client. So getting missiles from Syria is the equivalent of getting missiles from Iran. And you have this setup in the Middle East where Saudi Arabia has been fighting for influence against Iran. Now, Iran is not Sunni. Iran is Shiite, a whole different sect of Islam. And so how Hamas manages to balance its Sunni background in the Muslim Brotherhood and its Shiite role as a proxy army for the Iranians, I don't know. Things are getting very complicated. The Saudis began to lose their influence a year ago in the United States, and it has been a total humiliation for them. The Obama administration has shown more sympathy for Iran than it has shown for Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia has lost most of its influence over the American White House. So right now you have Qatar. Now let's look at Qatar. Qatar owns Al Jazeera. Qatar owns that very magnifying glass of the headlines, the perceptual lens through which we see.
Yeah.
It owns that. It owns Al Jazeera, which is the right now one of the biggest international news operations in the world. It also is going to be the host for the World Cup. It's putting itself on the world stage deliberately. The Grand Prix, there's a Grand Prix that takes place in Qatar, and Qatar is supporting Hamas. It's supporting Hamas financially. Turkey is coming to Hamas's support. And why are Turkey and Doha and Qatar taking on Hamas? In all probability because they are trying to overshadow Saudi Arabia and to take over the position of the leader being the leader of the Sunni world. That up until now has been Saudi Arabia's position.
So where does this leave Israel? If everybody is ganging up on Israel, and you've got and now you've got the you've even got Mayor Bloomberg from
to Jerusalem, bless his soul.
Yeah, against the FAA,
the will of Kerry and the FAA.
Yeah.
He's basically, it's being said, Hamas is saying that it has won a victory by getting the FAA to ban flights to Ben Gurion Airport. And there's a lot of that feeling. Even the Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch apparently feels that way, because that's an opinion that was published in the Wall Street Journal just a few hours ago.
So what is this telling the world that the United States is basically supporting Hamas?
To an extent, yes. I mean, we all knew, the day that Obama went on camera and said that Israel had to go back to its 1948 outlines, to its 1948 boundaries, which is outrageous because it was 15 miles wide at its thinnest point. It was an undefensible position. Plus, it ruled out all three of the cities that are holy to the Jews. There are hundreds of locations holy to the Muslims. They own half the world. There are only 3 cities that are holy to the Jews. And they're in Arab hands because the Arab and Islamic imperialism and colonialism has been the greatest imperialist and colonialist power literally in the history of the world. And it also, what Obama was saying, ruled out Israel taking Judea and Samaria, which are the territories in the Bible where most of the Bible takes place. Those are Jewish territories. So this was an outrageous statement. And at the same time, he said, I have your back. Well, I happened to be at Iranian TV that day. They were about to have me on to do an interview. They were apparently going to use me without letting me know that the president was speaking. They were going to use what I was saying as if it were a reaction to the president speaking. They didn't realize that I had my laptop and I had a little bring-it-yourself Wi-Fi stick and was watching the speech. And the president, that was when the president uttered that famous line, I have your back, to Israel. Well, you know what I thought, Rob? Because I identify very personally with Israel, I felt a knife at my back that very moment. I could feel it. I could see it. I did not trust Barack Obama, and I'm a registered Democrat. I voted for him. I voted for him twice. So we're in a very tricky situation. He would much prefer to be allied with Iran and to be allied with Israel. Iran is not a genuine democracy. The only candidates who can run are those who have been approved by the supreme leader, and the supreme leader is a religious fanatic. He is why do I say religious fanatic? Because he is the man responsible for keeping the flame of the thoughts of the Ayatollah Khomeini. And the Ayatollah Khomeini wanted a holy war against you and me.
Howard, stand by. We've got to take our news break. Howard Bloom is my special guest. www.howardbloom.net. This is the X Zone. My name is Rob McConnell. We'll be back on the other side of this news break. Don't go away. My name is Rob McConnell, and I would like to tell you about a very special lady that I have the pleasure of knowing, and that's Miss Sylvia Anthony. Sylvia Anthony believes the golden years are a time to gear up and get busy, not relax and take it easy. She has faced many hardships in her 84 years, but they have made her stronger and more determined. As founder and president of Sylvia's Haven, a shelter for women and their children near Boston, Sylvia has helped transform over 1,086 lives in the past 27 years, not only with housing, but also providing direction as to where they can go to develop the earning skills they want and need to live free from difficult domestic situations. Sylvia's Haven is everything to Sylvia Anthony, even calling it her magnificent obsession. Women who qualify for the program at Sylvia's Haven receive assistance via guidance counselors to find the appropriate job opportunity. Women and their children may remain at the housing for up to 2 years. At the end of this time, or sooner, a woman who is successfully employed and has an apartment or home may leave Sylvia's Haven to begin a new and independent life. Now this is where you come in to help make Sylvia's dream into a reality. Sylvia's dream is to have a Sylvia's Haven in every state to help as many women and their children as she can, and to help this dream come true. A crowdfunding site has been established which can be accessed at www.sylviasdream.org. Now that's www.sylviasdream.org. With your financial help and support, Sylvia Anthony will continue to help those in their time of need, not only in the Boston area, but with her dream of having a Sylvia's Haven in every state of the United States. Your help is needed to make Sylvia's dream come true. Please visit and give at www.sylviasdream.org. Once again, www.sylviasdream.org. And remember, the only difference between a dream and reality is just doing it. We need your help to make Sylvia's dream come true. Visit www.sylviasdream.org. Once again, www.sylviasdream.org. For the X Zone Radio TV show and the X Chronicles newspaper, I am Rob McConnell. Now you can dial in to listen to the X Zone Radio Show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7, 365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7, 365.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
And don't forget, X Zone Nation, the X Zone Radio TV show app is now available for Apple iOS at the iTunes Store, and for Androids, just go to Google Play. Howard Bloom is our special guest, www.howardbloom.net. And Howard, we've talked for the first segment about what is going on in the Middle East, in Gaza. Now I'd like to go to Europe and talk about what's going on in the Ukraine. We had the downing of MH17. It was a Buk missile that was from the Soviet Union. We have 2 fighter jets that were knocked down today by missiles. There's a lot of controversy about what is going on. What really ticks me off is that the way the crash site was not given any protection. The bodies that were laying there, they were exposed. You had members of the terrorist group going through the luggage, playing with the toys that the children had. They used a gas-powered saw of some sort to cut the cockpit away. Like, are these people playing with a full deck?
Well, these are not experienced political leaders. They're local gang leaders for all practical purposes. Sometimes local gang leaders take over entire countries. I mean, in the United States, we had a gang of intellectuals, and they took over from the British and kicked the British out.
Yeah.
But you have these. So it's hard, when you're calling people gang leaders, you have to be careful. Nonetheless, we have these people who are small-time military leaders doing all of this for the first time. They've not been accustomed to the public stage. They're not accustomed to thinking things through. And if, in fact, that Buk missile came from either the rebels or from the Russians, they are going to hide the evidence. That's just absolutely certain.
Mm-hmm.
If the difficulty is that we have somebody who is playing with a full deck, or should be, and that's Barack Obama. And he came out and made a statement that the Russians had done this. It was either the Russians or the Russian